Welcome everybody to the 2020 classroom procedure presentation. We'll go ahead and talk a little bit about how class will work this year. So I'll start here with classroom procedures. As you know, that we will start the year in green. Most of the year we will be on one-way hallways. So entering the classroom should come from the normal 7th, 8th grade hallway door. Upon entering the classroom, you'll go directly to your seat. When you get to your seat, there's some just general everyday procedures that we should follow. Number one would be log into Canvas. We'll talk a lot about how that works. Check your announcements. So once you're in Canvas, you'd want to check those announcements. And then, of course, if you have time, check your email. So exiting the classroom after we're done with class, we will have like a 5 minute prior to the end of class, kind of cleaning period. This is particularly important in the lab. So if you're working back in the lab, it will take us a little bit of time to get some things sanitized back there. So we will quit a little early. At your normal classroom desk, this may not be a daily occurrence, but there will be cleaning that takes place in between the time you leave and when everybody else gets into the room. So when we exit the room, we'll be out the back door. This is the one that is closest to the music room, and we'll have our masks on and be headed out the door. Seating arrangements are something that have been recommended, and that's kind of a contact tracing aspect of today's world. So we will have a normal seating chart, and you'll see that when you walk in, the room is arranged so that we could be socially distanced up to a point. There are some two-person tables. If we are in a class where we have two-person tables, then we won't be able to do the social distancing. And so when you look down there and it says social distancing, that's really that's in reference to the seating chart. So tardy policy. Tardy policy is pretty easy to understand. Students should be in the room prior to the bell. All class-related materials should be in their possession. We don't have lockers this year, so there's really no need for a return trip. And we will follow the school handbook on tardies. I record those in GoEdgestar so kids, can track if they have one or not. And then there's a detention time that'll be assigned. I believe that's after the third tardy that you owe some extra time. Could be the fifth. I don't know. I'm not looking at the policy. But whatever the handbook says, we will follow that and, do our best to avoid any tardies. The restrooms are kind of an interesting thing this year. We will have a set restroom schedule. I believe this is even in the green. And the schedule kind of varies, so it may include all of the above, some of the above. It won't include none of the above. But what time of the hour is kind of our assigned time. Like my classes will use it the first 10 minutes of the hour. That could be an example. The location we use, which of the restrooms are our class ones, and then of course, in some situations we may have to go into. We're going to go as a group so that we travel to and from together, and that's mostly so that we can schedule cleaning in between the use of the restroom. So what does the class look like? Well, when you get into Canvas, you'll see that the class will be organized in modules. The modules are like units of instruction, and I organize them this way. They're in an order that they should be completed. So if you just get into the module and you start at the top where it says getting started, and you work your way to the bottom, that's the order in which they should be completed. Some modules will include prerequisites. That's things you have to do before you get to go to the next part. That won't be true in every module or every class, but there will be some prerequisites. We will use flipped instruction. So what does that mean? Well, flipped instruction means that I am going to provide instructional materials that you can watch virtually, and you can do that 24/7. So a good example would be this. In years past, I've used Show Me's. This last spring, I did a lot of virtual instruction where I'm going to give kind of the rundown of the notes. Hopefully something more exciting than what we're doing here for this meeting, but I'll give a rundown of the notes, and the students can watch that anytime that they want to watch it. They could rewatch it. They could view it in class even. But that instruction piece happens. I won't stand at the front of the board and lecture to everybody. So instructional materials will be given out that way. And then you see down there differentiation. What that really means is, because we're in modules, and even if we're in the green and we're all together in the classroom, students have an opportunity to be self-paced. They have they'll have some days where they could choose to really grind hard and get a bunch of stuff done, and maybe lighten up a couple other days. They'll have opportunities like with a choice board where they could choose how they'd like to, say we are finishing up a unit and we've had a lab in there. They might choose to make a video of their lab, or they might choose to do a storyboard, or lots of different things. So they have some choices of how they want to meet the requirements, and then at the end of each module there's some sort of exit exam. So homework and projects, for a long time I haven't been a big homework guy. I'm still not a big homework guy. I think there's a really strong need for things that we do related to the content. That's for sure. But most of those things I intend for them to take place in my classroom. So an example would be, with flipped instruction, students can watch the instruction. You could watch the instruction with them, but when they have questions, those questions can be asked, in class. So we're working on stuff together in class. But as far as the homework, assigned work that I do give them, it's important, or I wouldn't assign it. It does have a specific due date. Late work will be deducted a percentage based on what's in the handbook, and all late work is due prior to the summative assessment or the end of the module. And if we're talking about a big major project piece in there, it could delay the completion of the module. Quizzes and tests. Quizzes are those things that you'll have them throughout the module. Some of those are, we could have quizzes over readings and discussions and that sort of thing, but most of them are putting into practice application type quizzes. Students can retake the quizzes. I will keep the highest of the re-quiz grades, so they're welcome to do that. All they have to do in order to re-quiz is to schedule a time with me, and that, if we're in the green, that could be a seminar type thing. If we're in the yellow or the red, it's probably just, I would like to retake this quiz, and I have a proctor present, and all I need to do is open it up on Canvas. So no re-quizzes will be allowed after the completion of the module. So for instance, we're working on kinematic descriptions. We're all done. We get to the end of the semester and somebody is very close to getting an A. We can't go back and retake a quiz from 2 months ago. Tests are summative assessments. That means we're going to put everything together. All of the tests will be equalized to 100 points. That's with the exception of the final. We don't take a final in every class, but if we have a final exam, it's a 200-point exam. So all of those would be equalized to 100 points, so that normal module tests will be the same for each module. And there are no retakes on tests. So tests are kind of a big ticket item, so we want to make sure students are prepped and ready to go for those. So grades and grading practices. First of all, I will have grades updated prior to Monday morning. Typically Sunday, I will go through and make sure that I have all of the Canvas stuff graded and it can be updated. Um, I do weight our grades, and that's you can see that tests and quizzes are 40% of the grade, and lab and projects are 40% of the grade, and the homework and daily work is 20% of the grade. And you know, that's just a practice I've been using for quite a while. It kind of allows us to keep the focus on. Well, a better way to put it would be I don't need to have as many points in the lab and quiz and homework category. One of those categories can't dominate the grade more than it should. So the weighting allows me to keep the grade balanced to where it's similar year to year to year. Students are encouraged to check their grades frequently. I'm as human as anybody else. I'm going to put those things in. I'm typing them in on a keyboard, and every now and then, something that should be a 79 becomes a 59 because I hit the wrong key. So please check. If there's an error, I'm more than willing to go back and correct those things. There are lots of technology tools that we will use throughout the year. A lot of them are apps and web-based programs. These will be used, for different things in the class. Some of them are, hey, this is how we're doing our lab. Some of them are to make an infographic, all different types. Most all the apps that we use will be integrated with Canvas. If they don't directly integrate, then we will have a link available through Canvas. So everything, Canvas should end up being our one-stop shop. Tinkercad is something that we use. This is a design program that we use with our 3D printers, and we will start all of the students with some Tinkercad stuff, and everybody will have some sort of 3D print project for the year. And then, of course, we use lots of Vernier technologies. There's a graphical program in there that we use as our data collection tool. This goes along with all of the different lab activities that we use. So lots of technology in our room. So class schedule, kind of what does the daily class look like? And I think I have this broken down. I think our class periods are 54 minutes, but anyway, this is a 55-minute schedule. So you could see that in the top line here is kind of the normal day. So when you come in, there's some startup items. That's your get logged in, check your BCA, check your email, those types of things. And then I just have listed differentiated classroom instruction in the green phase. And that's, again, some days when you come in, it's you might be the individual that's back in the lab working, or maybe you have some instructional needs that you want to work on individually. Maybe a group of students have questions they want me to answer as guided practice. Maybe we're just reviewing for an assessment. Any of those things, but normally what's going to come in is we're going to be doing something. The labor part of the course really happens then, the active part. I do have the last 5 minutes scheduled there for cleanup. We talked a little bit about that, but cleanup really, that's that sanitation piece. Some of that will be me. Some of that I will use students to help with, but we will make sure that our facility is clean before we leave. And then if we're in the yellow or red, our Zoom meetings are set up so that they're the first 25 minutes of class. So you can see that I have that kind of blocked off, and beyond that would be our differentiated work. And cleanup's probably a little different in those phases because we're not entering and exiting.